Imagine gripping the steering wheel so tightly your knuckles turn white. Not because you're speeding, but because one tiny mistake could send you over the edge. Out here, roads aren't just routes from point A to point B. They're tests of instinct, patience, and nerve. Every curve hides uncertainty. Every climb pushes machines and drivers beyond comfort. Across the planet, there are paths carved into mountains, suspended above ravines, drowned by tides, buried in fog, or isolated far beyond the reach of help. These aren't scenic Sunday drives. They demand focus measured in milliseconds, judgment sharpened by risk, and courage that doesn't fade when the pavement disappears beneath your tires. Today, we're setting out to explore some of the most unforgiving stretches ever built. Routes where geography, weather, and engineering collide in ways that challenge even seasoned drivers. Some are legendary for their altitude, others for their isolation, and some for accident histories that turn them into warnings carved in asphalt and stone. So steady your nerves, clear your mind, and prepare to experience roads that redefine what dangerous really means. This is your journey into the world's most extreme drives, where control is fragile, consequences are real, and the margin for error is thinner than you think. Langkawi Canyon Cliff Road. This isn't the kind of road you casually stumble across. It's the kind you remember long after your engine cools down. Carved directly into sheer rock faces, the Langkawi Canyon Cliff Road feels less like infrastructure and more like a dare written into stone. Driving here isn't about speed or comfort. It's about control, focus, and a steady nerve. The route snakes along vertical canyon walls where the margin between tire and void can shrink to a frightening minimum. There are sections where the road appears suspended, nothing but air stretching outward beyond your window. Guardrails are inconsistent or minimal, and the narrow surface forces you to constantly measure distance, angle, and timing. This isn't polished asphalt designed for convenience. Parts of a surface are rough, uneven, and shaped by both construction and erosion. Loose gravel, dust, or moisture can reduce traction, turning simple steering corrections into delicate negotiations with gravity. And because the path clings to canyon cliffs, falling rocks aren't hypothetical. They're an ongoing reality. Visibility brings its own challenge. Tight bends carved into rock limit sight lines, meaning you rarely know what's coming until you're committed to the turn. Meeting another vehicle in these constricted sections becomes a psychological contest of patience and maneuvering skill. Someone yields, someone inches backward, all while the canyon yawns below. But like many of the world's extreme roads, danger and beauty coexist here. Vast canyon views unfold in dramatic layers of stone and shadow, enough to distract the unprepared. And distraction, on a road like this, is the one luxury you cannot afford. Driving the Langkawi Canyon Cliff Road isn't about conquering terrain. It's about respecting it. Because here, confidence without caution isn't bravery. It's risk waiting for its moment. Some roads challenge your driving skill. Others challenge your nerve. Ma Pai Long Pass does both and adds altitude, exposure, and isolation into the equation. Winding through northern Vietnam's highlands, this mountain route isn't just transportation. It's a razor-thin thread connecting cliffs, clouds, and deep valleys far below. Cut along steep limestone mountains, the pass twists through sharp bends where visibility narrows and reaction time matters. The road clings to slopes overlooking dramatic drops toward the No-K River Canyon. One glance over the edge is enough to remind you how little separates asphalt from open air. Even when guardrails exist, they're not something you want to test. Elevation brings unpredictable conditions. Fog can roll in quickly, swallowing the landscape and shrinking your world to a few meters ahead. Rain turns the surface slick, while occasional rockfall or debris adds hazards you don't see until you're already approaching. These aren't theoretical risks, they're part of driving here. Traffic introduces another layer of tension. Motorbikes, local vehicles, and tourist vans all share the same narrow, winding path. Overtaking requires precision and judgment, and tight corners demand patience over ego. On a road with limited escape room, small decisions carry weight. Yet like many extreme routes, the danger competes with extraordinary scenery. Jagged peaks, deep gorges, and sweeping panoramas create moments that tempt drivers to look away from the task at hand. And that's where discipline matters most, because this isn't a road built for distraction. Ma Pai Long Pass isn't about speed, and it isn't about domination. It's about balance between confidence and caution, thrill and restraint. Because on a road suspended between mountain and abyss, respect is the only reliable safety feature you bring with you. At first glance, BR 116 doesn't look like the kind of road that belongs in a danger-filled lineup. It's not carved into cliffs or perched on mountain edges. But appearances can be misleading. Stretching thousands of kilometers across Brazil, this highway is one of the country's most vital transport arteries, and in certain stretches, one of its most unforgiving. This isn't a short adrenaline burst. It's a long endurance test. Heavy freight traffic, long-haul buses, and dense commuter flow create constant pressure on drivers. Fatigue becomes as dangerous as the road itself. In regions between major urban centers, particularly mountainous sections in the southeast, tight curves, steep grades, and variable pavement quality demand full attention. Weather compounds the challenge. Fog can blanket elevated stretches, reducing visibility to seconds of reaction time. Rainfall turns surfaces slick and amplifies braking distances. When combined with high traffic volume, even small misjudgments cascade into chain reaction incidents. These aren't isolated events. Accident rates along parts of BR 116 have historically been high enough for the route to earn a reputation as one of Brazil's riskier highways. Infrastructure differences across its length add unpredictability. Some segments are modernized and divided. Others narrow into older two-lane configurations where overtaking becomes a calculated gamble. Limited shoulders and uneven maintenance conditions can turn routine maneuvers into tense decisions. But what makes BR 116 notable isn't dramatic scenery or extreme altitude, it's scale. The sheer volume of vehicles and distance traveled multiplies exposure to risk. Danger here isn't concentrated in one terrifying moment. It accumulates over hours behind the wheel. Driving BR 116 isn't about confronting cliffs or avalanches. It's about endurance, awareness, and discipline. Because on a road this long and this busy, complacency, not terrain, becomes the greatest hazard. Some roads are dangerous because they're remote. Others because they're unpredictable. Stelvio Pass is intimidating for a different reason: precision. Every meter demands it. Rising high through the Alps near the Italian-Swiss border, this mountain pass is less a road and more a tightly coiled ribbon laid across steep, unforgiving terrain. The climb is defined by its legendary sequence of hairpin bends. Curve after curve stacks upward, forcing constant steering corrections and careful throttle control. These turns aren't gentle arcs. They're sharp, narrow switchbacks that challenge turning radius, especially for larger vehicles. Misjudge speed or line choice, and you're suddenly fighting both gravity and momentum. Altitude adds its own complications. The air thins, temperatures drop, and weather can shift rapidly. Clear skies at the base may give way to fog, wind, or even snow near the summit. Reduced traction and limited visibility transform already tight corners into calculated risks rather than routine maneuvers. Traffic density intensifies the experience. Motorcycles, cyclists, tour buses, and cars all share the same narrow lanes. Encounters on blind bends require anticipation and patience. There's rarely room for error and very little space for correction once committed to a turn. And then there's exposure. In many sections, the landscape falls away dramatically beyond the roadside barrier. The view is spectacular, peaks layered across the horizon, but it's also a reminder that distraction here has consequences. Admiring the scenery is tempting. Maintaining focus is essential. Driving Stelvio Pass isn't about speed or domination. It's about rhythm, braking, steering, accelerating, repeating, while staying ahead of the road's relentless demands. It rewards skill and respect in equal measure. Because on a route engineered into the mountainside itself, control isn't optional, it's everything. Not every dangerous road earns its reputation from cliffs or hairpin turns alone. Some are shaped by isolation, and the Colombia-Venezuela frontier routes deliver exactly that. Cutting through mountains, jungle, and sparsely populated border regions, these roads aren't defined by polished engineering. They're defined by unpredictability. Large sections shift between worn asphalt, patched concrete, and raw dirt or gravel. After rain, surfaces soften and rut, turning traction into guesswork. Potholes appear without warning. Drainage fails in places, and erosion can eat away at road edges. Steering becomes less about comfort and more about reading terrain in real time. Geography adds another layer. The routes wind across steep hillsides and descend into dense forest corridors where sight lines shrink and lighting fades. Fog or tropical downpours can arrive quickly, reducing visibility and increasing stopping distance. Landslides and debris aren't rare events. They're routine obstacles drivers must anticipate. Traffic conditions vary wildly. Cargo trucks, motorcycles, and informal local transport all compete for limited space. Passing opportunities can be scarce, and road markings may be inconsistent or absent altogether. Navigation becomes situational awareness, judging vehicle movement, road width, and escape room simultaneously. But perhaps the defining challenge isn't purely physical. In remote stretches, assistance is limited. Fuel stops, mechanical support, or emergency response can be far apart, making preparation critical. On roads like these, risk isn't concentrated in a single dramatic moment. It's woven through distance, environment, and uncertainty. Driving along the Colombia-Venezuela border isn't about conquering a famous landmark pass. It's about endurance, adaptability, and respect for terrain that refuses to be predictable. Because here, danger isn't always obvious. It's subtle, shifting, and waiting for inattention to reveal it. Not every journey across extreme terrain happens behind a steering wheel. Sometimes, the challenge unfolds along steel rails. And New Zealand's Northern Explorer proves that engineering can be just as dramatic as driving. Stretching between Auckland and Wellington, this route slices through rugged landscapes that demanded creativity, patience, and precision to conquer. Covering hundreds of kilometers, the railway traverses volcanic plateaus, deep valleys, and unstable ground where simple straight lines weren't an option. Bridges span wide river gorges, tunnels punch through rock, and elevated tracks hug slopes shaped by erosion and seismic activity. Building here wasn't just construction, it was negotiation with geography. One of the defining features is the intricate spiral engineering that allows the train to gain elevation without excessive gradients. Instead of brute force climbs, the track curves, loops, and folds back on itself. A solution born from necessity. It's a reminder that steep terrain doesn't always yield to direct routes. Weather and environment continue to test the line long after its completion. Heavy rain, shifting soil, and occasional seismic movement mean maintenance is constant. Remote sections offer limited immediate access, and monitoring track stability becomes critical for safety. Operating here isn't routine, it's ongoing vigilance. Yet the perceived danger is balanced by remarkable scenery. Dense forests, rolling hills, and dramatic volcanic terrain unfold beyond the windows, turning the journey into something immersive rather than intimidating. The tension here isn't about survival. It's about appreciating the scale of effort required to make passage possible. The Northern Explorer isn't defined by peril in the conventional sense. It's defined by resilience, an example of infrastructure threading its way through challenging land. Because sometimes the real story isn't the risk of the route, but the ingenuity that made the route exist at all. In the mountains above Oahu, danger doesn't stretch across miles of pavement. It rises step by step into the clouds. The hike stairs, often called the stairway to heaven, transform a simple climb into a confrontation with elevation, exposure, and endurance. Originally installed during World War II to service communications equipment, the staircase cuts sharply up a narrow mountain ridge. Thousands of metal steps cling to steep terrain where the land drops away on both sides. This isn't a leisurely ascent. It's a sustained vertical push that keeps your balance, stamina, and focus under constant pressure. Environmental conditions amplify the challenge. Tropical humidity feeds dense clouds that can sweep across the ridge in moments, shrinking visibility and dampening surfaces. Metal steps become slick after rain, and wind gusts funnel along the exposed route, demanding careful footing. A misplaced step here carries consequences far beyond a stumble. Exposure is unavoidable. Unlike forest trails or wide paths, there's little psychological buffer between you and open air. Every glance outward reinforces how high you've climbed and how far there is to descend. Maintaining composure becomes just as important as physical strength. Today, restrictions and safety concerns define the modern reality of the site. Unauthorized access can result in penalties, underscoring that the risk here isn't only physical, it's also regulatory. Respecting boundaries is part of respecting the environment itself. The hike stairs are not about speed or distance. They're about vertical challenge, a reminder that infrastructure built for function can evolve into something far more intense. Because when the path climbs into mist and sky, determination alone doesn't carry you. Discipline and caution do. Some journeys don't test your nerve with cliffs or hairpin bends. They test you with isolation, and few places redefine isolation like the Peruvian Amazon. Here, the concept of a road fades away. Movement happens along rivers, muddy tracks, and shifting jungle paths where navigation is shaped by nature rather than engineering. The rainforest environment is relentless. Heat and humidity push both machines and people toward their limits. Heavy rainfall can transform dry ground into deep mud within hours, swallowing tires and slowing progress to a crawl. Flooded terrain reroutes travel entirely, forcing detours onto waterways that change with the season. Visibility and orientation become constant challenges. Dense vegetation closes in, reducing sight lines and masking obstacles. Fallen trees, unstable banks, and wildlife encounters are not rare events. They're part of the environment. Without careful planning and local knowledge, even short routes can stretch unpredictably. Distance from infrastructure magnifies risk. Settlements, fuel supplies, and mechanical assistance are scattered and often reachable only after long stretches of uninterrupted wilderness. When something fails, navigation, equipment, timing, solutions are rarely immediate. Preparation here isn't precaution, it's survival strategy. Yet the danger exists alongside remarkable scale and biodiversity. Towering canopies, winding tributaries, and endless green horizons create a landscape that's as captivating as it is unforgiving. It draws travelers in while quietly demanding respect for its complexity. Traveling through the Peruvian Amazon isn't about conquering terrain. It's about adapting to it, understanding that control belongs to the environment, not the traveler. Because in a place where paths shift and boundaries blur, resilience and awareness become the true route forward. At first glance, the Autopista del Sol doesn't look like a test of survival. It's a major transport corridor, long, sun-washed, and built to connect key regions of Colombia. But highways don't have to cling to cliffs to demand respect. Sometimes the danger comes from scale, speed, and the illusion of control. Stretching across vast distances, this route cuts through open terrain where heat and glare become constant companions. Under intense sunlight, fatigue builds gradually, dulling reaction time and decision-making. Long straight sections tempt drivers into complacency, and complacency on fast highways can be just as hazardous as sharp turns. Traffic diversity adds tension. Heavy freight vehicles, buses, and private cars share lanes at varying speeds. Overtaking becomes a calculated risk, particularly in segments where lane separation or infrastructure upgrades are inconsistent. Misjudgment isn't dramatic. It's sudden, mechanical, and unforgiving. Weather shifts can transform conditions quickly. Rainstorms reduce traction and visibility, and localized flooding in low areas can alter the road surface. Even minor hydroplaning at highway speeds changes the margin for correction from manageable to razor-thin. And then there's endurance. Covering extended distances demands sustained focus, hours of monitoring mirrors, anticipating traffic behavior, and managing vehicle performance. On roads like this, danger doesn't announce itself with spectacle. It accumulates quietly through time, distance, and human limitation. Driving the Autopista del Sol isn't about confronting vertical drops or narrow ledges. It's about discipline, maintaining awareness when familiarity tries to dull your senses. Because on fast, expansive highways, risk often hides behind the confidence they inspire. Some roads don't rely on altitude or distance to intimidate. They rely on exposure. The Kahe Highway on Maui is a route where the margin between control and consequence can feel razor-thin. Winding along rugged coastline and mountain slopes, it trades convenience for intensity. This isn't a wide, forgiving highway. Sections narrow dramatically, at times leaving barely enough room for a single vehicle. When oncoming traffic appears, someone has to yield, sometimes reversing along cliffside stretches to find a passing spot. These aren't maneuvers for hesitation. They demand calm precision. The road's geometry keeps drivers engaged. Tight bends curve sharply around blind corners, limiting sight lines and forcing anticipation over reaction. Guardrails are inconsistent, and beyond the edge lies steep terrain dropping toward the ocean. The combination of confinement and exposure creates constant psychological pressure. Surface conditions can add unpredictability. Moisture, debris, or loose material occasionally compromise traction, and the route's remoteness means conditions can vary from one section to the next. Speed isn't the challenge here, restraint is. Maintaining control often means moving slower than instinct might suggest. Yet the scenery competes fiercely for attention. Vast ocean views, dramatic cliffs, and shifting light across the coastline create a landscape that tempts distraction. And that's the quiet paradox. The same beauty that draws travelers here also demands discipline to navigate safely. Driving the Kahe Highway isn't about proving bravery. It's about composure, understanding that skill shows in patience, not risk-taking. Because on a road carved between mountain and sea, awareness is the difference between thrill and mistake. Some roads are built to reach destinations. Others are built to challenge the journey itself. And Trollstigen is firmly in the second category. Twisting through steep Norwegian mountains, this route turns elevation gain into a precise sequence of calculated moves rather than a simple climb. The ascent is defined by a chain of tight hairpin bends stacked one above the other. Each turn demands careful speed control and steering accuracy, especially as gradients push engines and brakes to work harder than usual. There's little room for sloppy inputs. Momentum builds quickly, and recovery space is limited. Width adds pressure. Sections narrow as the road clings to rocky slopes, forcing vehicles to share confined space while negotiating curves. When larger vehicles approach, timing and patience matter more than confidence. Judgment becomes constant. When to proceed, when to wait, when to yield. Weather can rewrite the experience entirely. Mountain conditions shift rapidly, bringing mist, rain, or slick surfaces that reduce traction. Visibility may shrink without warning, and water flowing across the pavement can complicate braking and cornering. These aren't rare anomalies. They're part of operating in alpine terrain. And yet, distraction is inevitable. Waterfalls cascade down cliff faces, valleys unfold below, and the engineered geometry of the road itself becomes a spectacle. It's a visual reward that competes directly with the attention required to navigate safely. And losing focus here is never wise. Trollstigen isn't about conquering danger. It's about respecting balance between mechanical control, environmental awareness, and restraint. Because on a road that coils up the mountainside, mastery isn't measured in speed, it's measured in precision. Some roads don't just test your driving, they test your trust in gravity itself. Hidden in Pakistan's northern mountains, the route toward Fairy Meadows is less a highway and more a narrow thread etched into raw terrain. It's the kind of passage where confidence has to be balanced with constant caution. The track stretches roughly 16 kilometers, carved along steep slopes leading toward the highlands below Nanga Parbat. Width is minimal, often just enough for one vehicle, and passing another car can turn into a delicate exercise in positioning and patience. There are no reassuring shoulders, and protective barriers are rare. Beyond the edge, the land drops away sharply. Surface conditions add to the tension. This isn't polished asphalt, but uneven dirt, rock, and loose gravel. Traction varies, especially after rain, and steering corrections must be measured rather than abrupt. One careless input can send wheels slipping toward terrain that offers little forgiveness. Visibility can be limited by sharp bends hugging the mountainside. Oncoming vehicles appear suddenly, demanding quick judgment and calm maneuvering. In many cases, only experienced local drivers handle the route regularly, often using specialized vehicles suited to rugged conditions. And yet, like many extreme paths, the destination offers striking reward, sweeping views and alpine scenery that seem far removed from the strain of the climb. But getting there requires respect for the environment and realistic awareness of the road's limitations. Fairy Meadows Road isn't about speed or bravado. It's about patience, control, and preparation. Because in terrain where engineering meets raw mountain geography, the safest approach is understanding that nature still sets the rules. Not every extreme route runs on pavement. High in the mountains of Colorado, the Georgetown Loop Railroad proves that steel rails can carry just as much tension as cliffside roads. Built to conquer steep elevation and unforgiving terrain, This historic railway is a showcase of engineering meeting geography head-on. Constructed during the late 19th century mining boom, the line climbs through rugged alpine landscape where simple straight tracks weren't possible. Instead, it curves and loops along mountainsides, crossing elevated trestles and threading through narrow cuts in rock. These design choices weren't aesthetic. They were necessary to manage gradients that locomotives of the era couldn't brute force. Exposure defines the experience. Portions of the track traverse high bridges suspended above valleys, where the distance to the ground below is impossible to ignore. From the carriage, the sensation isn't speed, it's height and the awareness of how precisely the structure must perform to remain safe. Mountain conditions remain a constant influence. Snow, temperature swings, and shifting ground have always required maintenance and vigilance. Operating here has never been a set-and-forget process. It's an ongoing partnership between engineering oversight and environmental reality. Yet the intensity coexists with scenery. Forested slopes, rocky outcrops, and sweeping views unfold beyond the windows, highlighting why routes like this capture imagination. They represent determination to connect places that geography once kept apart. The Georgetown Loop Railroad isn't about adrenaline in the conventional sense. It's about appreciating ingenuity under constraint. Understanding that threading rail through mountain terrain demands foresight, precision, and respect for natural limits. Because sometimes the most extreme journeys are measured, not in danger faced, but in obstacles overcome. Some roads seem cursed before you even set wheels on them. Haiti's infamous the Demned is one of those paths, a narrow, treacherous mountain route that tests skill, nerve, and endurance all at once. Locals know it for its sheer drops, unpredictable terrain, and history of accidents that seem almost inevitable. The track winds along jagged hillsides where the ground disappears into ravines hundreds of meters deep. Sections are barely wide enough for a single vehicle, forcing drivers to inch forward with every turn. When oncoming traffic appears, passing is a calculated gamble, and hesitation can cost everything. Guardrails are sparse or non-existent, leaving gravity as the only invisible passenger. Surface conditions are unforgiving. Washed out gravel, loose rock, and eroded mud make traction inconsistent. Rain transforms the road into a slippery gauntlet, while landslides can block the path entirely without warning. Every bend demands constant vigilance. Even momentary distraction can mean disaster. Isolation magnifies the stakes. Emergency help is hours away, and mechanical failures or misjudgments leave drivers completely reliant on their own skill. The psychological pressure is relentless. Every meter forward is a negotiation with both terrain and fear. And yet, despite its danger, the landscape is hauntingly dramatic. Steep valleys, dense tropical vegetation, and the occasional glimpse of the Caribbean coast create moments of beauty that compete for attention. A cruel reminder that here, distraction is deadly. The Demned isn't about conquering a road. It's about respect, patience, and awareness. On a path carved by history and geography alike. Courage alone isn't enough. Precision, discipline, and focus determine whether you survive the descent. Some roads aren't dangerous because of turns or cliffs. They're dangerous because of isolation. Alaska's James W. Dalton Highway is one of the most extreme examples. A relentless stretch of wilderness where the margin for error is vanishingly small. Built in 1974 to support the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, the Dalton is more than a road. It's a lifeline across one of North America's harshest landscapes. For hundreds of kilometers, you won't see a gas station, a restaurant, or another soul. If your vehicle fails, survival depends on preparation, endurance, and a little luck. Nature doesn't wait. The road surface is unforgiving. Gravel, dirt, and ice dominate, and traction is a luxury rather than a guarantee. Long straight sections can lull drivers into complacency, but high winds, sudden storms, and icy patches transform routine driving into a high-stakes challenge in seconds. Exposure is constant. On either side, tundra stretches endlessly, and river crossings or unprotected embankments remind drivers how small they are in the face of raw wilderness. Wildlife adds another element. Moose, bears, and other animals can appear without warning, demanding instant reactions in a place where help is nowhere nearby. Endurance is as much a test as skill. Drivers face not only the technical challenge of navigating rough terrain, but also the psychological pressure of solitude. Hours stretch into days, and one small error can escalate quickly when no assistance is available. The Dalton Highway isn't about conquering a scenic route. It's about survival, preparation, and respect for the environment. On this road, the wilderness sets the rules, and every decision matters. Some roads aren't famous for hairpin turns or vertigo-inducing cliffs. In Gabon, danger comes from isolation, terrain, and unpredictability. Deep in a rainforest, the forest roads challenge both driver and machine in ways that few paved highways ever could. These tracks often shift between muddy, rutted paths and washed-out gravel. Rain transforms them instantly, turning solid ground into slick, sticky mud that can trap vehicles for hours. Fallen branches, sudden washouts, and hidden potholes make every meter a careful negotiation with the terrain. Visibility is limited by dense canopy and twisting paths. Sunlight filters sporadically through thick trees, creating shifting shadows that hide hazards. Rivers and streams cross the road frequently, sometimes without bridges, forcing drivers to ford water with only instinct and skill to guide them. Isolation magnifies the risk. Settlements are far apart, and cell coverage is minimal. Breakdowns, stuck vehicles, or accidents leave travelers dependent on their own preparation or passing locals, both scarce in remote stretches. Even experienced drivers must stay alert constantly, yet the surroundings are mesmerizing. Towering rainforest, abundant wildlife, and the hum of untouched nature compete for attention. The temptation to admire the scenery is constant, but here, distraction can have immediate consequences. Gabon's forest roads aren't about speed or thrill in the conventional sense. They're about endurance, observation, and humility. Because in a place where nature governs every mile, respect for the environment is the only way to travel safely. Some roads demand respect, not through cliffs or hairpin bends, but through speed, traffic, and sheer intensity. The Yashi Express in China is one of those routes, a high-capacity highway connecting bustling urban centers, yet capable of testing even the most experienced drivers. This expressway stretches across varied terrain, combining steep gradients, tight curves, and sections of dense traffic that leave little room for error. While engineered for efficiency, its challenges arise from human and environmental factors. Trucks, buses, and fast-moving cars share lanes, often at varying speeds, turning overtaking and lane changes into calculated risks. Weather is an ever-present variable. Fog can descend rapidly in low-lying areas, while rain makes the smooth asphalt deceptively slippery. Even minor mistakes, a misjudged braking point or slight overcorrection, can have dramatic consequences when high speed multiplies risk. Road geometry adds subtle pressure. Curves are tighter than they appear from a distance, and short merging lanes demand split-second decisions. Traffic density amplifies the danger, especially during peak hours, when reaction time is measured in fractions of a second. Yet the expressway is more than a test of caution. Its sweeping views of surrounding landscapes, from hills to river valleys, offer glimpses of beauty that contrast starkly with the constant vigilance required. The mind must juggle wonder and focus, a balance few roads demand so insistently. The Yashi Express isn't about surviving cliffs or snow. It's about controlling speed, reading other drivers, and respecting the limits of both vehicle and human reflexes. On a road like this, discipline is as crucial as courage. Some crossings are iconic for their beauty, others for their engineering, and the Golden Gate Bridge combines both while testing the nerves of those who traverse it. Spanning the strait between San Francisco Bay and the Pacific Ocean, this bridge isn't a treacherous mountain road, but it still commands respect. Wind is the silent hazard here. Gusts off the Pacific can reach unpredictable speeds, rocking vehicles and influencing steering. Fog can roll in suddenly, obscuring visibility and hiding traffic, forcing drivers to rely on instinct and caution in equal measure. Even on a wide, well-maintained deck, conditions can change faster than reaction time allows. Traffic density adds another layer of tension. Thousands of cars pass daily, often in close proximity, and merging or lane changes can feel unnervingly fast when combined with high winds and slick surfaces. Distractions are everywhere. The sweeping views of the bay and city can lure attention away from the task at hand. Engineering marvel aside, exposure is ever present. From the deck, the water below stretches endlessly, a constant reminder that this is not merely a road, but a bridge suspended over nature's vast expanse. Even small errors can feel amplified psychologically, making focus as important as technical skill. The Golden Gate Bridge is a test of calm under pressure. It doesn't demand daring curves or treacherous gravel, but it challenges every driver's ability to balance awareness, patience, and respect for both the environment and the flow of traffic. On this iconic span, mastery is measured in composure. Not all extreme routes test courage through cliffs or mountains. Some do it through scale and exposure, and Portugal's Vasco da Gama Bridge is a prime example. Stretching over 17 kilometers across the Tagus River near Lisbon, it is Europe's longest bridge, and crossing it is an exercise in respect for engineering, weather, and human attention. Wind is a constant factor. Gusts sweeping across the water can push vehicles, affecting steering and stability. Rain or fog further reduces visibility, transforming the long, straight lanes into a corridor where focus cannot lapse for even a second. On such a vast structure, small errors are magnified over distance. Traffic adds tension. Thousands of cars, trucks, and buses use the bridge daily. Lane changes, merging, and braking at high speeds require precision. Even a minor miscalculation can ripple down long stretches of traffic, making vigilance essential. The bridge's scale intensifies the psychological effect. Glancing over the side reveals water stretching to the horizon, with no immediate escape in case of an emergency. The sheer length means drivers must sustain concentration for an extended period. Fatigue is subtle but dangerous. Vasco da Gama isn't about hairpin bends or narrow mountain passes. It's about endurance, situational awareness, and respect for natural forces. On this monumental span, the test is in maintaining calm and control across kilometers of exposure, where every moment of inattention can carry consequences. Some routes challenge not with speed or cliffs, but with steep inclines and winding mountain terrain. The roads leading to Ba Na Hills in Vietnam are a masterclass in vertical navigation, twisting through lush forests and mist-shrouded ridges where every turn demands attention. Climbing toward the resort and famous Golden Bridge, drivers face narrow lanes hugging sharp mountain slopes. Guardrails are limited in places, and sheer drops beyond the road amplify every small error. Even slight misjudgments in steering or braking can turn routine driving into a tense negotiation with gravity. Weather adds a hidden layer of danger. Rain can arrive suddenly in the highlands, reducing traction and visibility. Fog frequently drifts across the slopes, shrouding the next curve in white uncertainty. Roads that are dry one moment can become treacherous the next. Curves are relentless. Hairpins appear at frequent intervals, demanding constant speed modulation and precise control. Large vehicles require even more caution, and passing another car is often a psychological challenge as much as a technical one. Despite its danger, the scenery is breathtaking. Towering trees, mist-filled valleys, and glimpses of distant peaks compete for attention, creating a constant tension between awe and focus. On Bana Hills roads, discipline is as critical as courage. The safest driver is the one who respects both the terrain and the limits of their own reflexes. Some routes aren't measured in danger by curves or cliffs, but by altitude and isolation. And few exemplify that more than China's Qinghai Tibet Railway. Stretching across the Tibetan Plateau, this railway climbs to over 5,000 meters above sea level, threading through permafrost, barren expanses, and unforgiving terrain where nature dominates every decision. The challenges are relentless. Low oxygen levels at extreme altitude affect both machinery and humans. Locomotives produce less power, braking distances increase, and even brief exposure outside pressurized compartments constrain the body. Engineers and passengers alike confront conditions that are as physically demanding as any mountain pass. Terrain compounds the difficulty. The line crosses vast stretches of permafrost and unstable soil, requiring constant monitoring and advanced engineering to prevent track deformation. Bridges and tunnels traverse deep valleys and rock-strewn slopes, leaving no margin for error in construction or operation. Weather is unpredictable and severe. Blizzards, high winds, and temperature extremes can strike without warning, reducing visibility and testing both infrastructure and the resolve of crews. Remote sections are isolated for hundreds of kilometers, so any failure demands self-reliance and meticulous preparation. Yet the scenery is unparalleled. Endless plateaus, snow-capped peaks, and glacial rivers unfold beyond the windows, a reminder of why humans attempt these extreme crossings. The Qinghai Tibet Railway isn't just a marvel of engineering. It's a high-altitude endurance test where survival relies on precision, respect for nature, and unwavering attention to the environment. Some crossings aren't highways or mountain passes. They're feats of engineering suspended above the world, where every step challenges your balance, your focus, and your nerves. The Langkawi Sky Bridge in Malaysia is one such path, a curved pedestrian bridge hanging over the Mashinchang mountain range, blending architectural ingenuity with breathtaking exposure. Stretching 125 meters with a graceful curve that seems to float above the rainforest canopy, the bridge offers a sense of vulnerability that few roads or trails can match. There are no vehicles, no guardrails in the conventional sense. Only the engineered cables holding you aloft and a vast green valley disappearing hundreds of meters below. Every footstep matters. A misplaced step, a sudden gust of wind, or a slick surface after rain can instantly transform a casual stroll into a test of nerves. The environment intensifies the challenge. Clouds and mist roll in unpredictably, shrouding the bridge in fog that can obscure your view entirely, while high-altitude wind gusts sway the structure, reminding you that even steel is not immune to nature. Humidity and sudden tropical showers add a slippery factor, forcing travelers to tread carefully and remain constantly aware of each movement. The psychological pressure is as real as the physical challenge. The curvature of the bridge amplifies exposure, creating a feeling of walking on air. Looking down, the rainforest stretches endlessly, its dense canopy punctuated by valleys and peaks, while the horizon stretches far beyond, making every step feel suspended between awe and fear. For some, this induces vertigo. For others, it sparks a deep, thrilling respect for what human engineering can achieve. But the Sky Bridge isn't merely about danger. It's also about reward. Panoramic vistas that seem to stretch into infinity, glimpses of distant islands, and the way sunlight dances across the treetops. Every moment forces a delicate balance between appreciating the breathtaking scenery and maintaining the focus necessary to navigate a high-exposure structure safely. Langkawi Sky Bridge is not a test of speed, nor of endurance in the conventional sense. It is a test of composure, focus, and respect for both the engineering marvel beneath your feet and the environment surrounding you. Here, courage alone is not enough. Awareness, balance, and mindfulness are what will carry you safely across the sky. Some roads, or in this case, bridges, test courage not with cliffs or hairpin bends, but with scale, exposure, and the raw power of nature. The Akashi Kaikyo Bridge in Japan, also known as the Pearl Bridge, stretches nearly 2 kilometers across the Akashi Strait, connecting Kobe with Awaji Island. It's the longest suspension bridge in the world, and crossing it is an exercise in respect for engineering, wind, and weather. From a distance, it's a marvel of precision. Steel towers soaring 282 meters in the sky, cables holding the roadway taut above turbulent waters. But when you drive across, the bridge transforms from an impressive landmark into a subtle psychological test. High winds buffet vehicles, causing slight sways that demand constant attention. Heavy rain and fog reduce visibility, forcing drivers to focus on every meter and every lane marking. Even small errors at highway speeds feel magnified. Traffic adds its own challenge. Cars, trucks, and buses traverse the bridge daily, often at high speeds, and overtaking or merging requires careful judgment. The long, open expanse offers no distraction, yet it also leaves no room for lapse. A sudden gust or momentary inattention can be unnerving, reminding you of the water hundreds of meters below. The bridge's environment is as dynamic as its design. The Akashi Strait is notorious for storms, tides, and typhoons, testing both the structure and those who cross it. Engineers designed it to withstand earthquakes and winds exceeding 300 kilometers per hour. But while the bridge is safe, the exposure still commands respect. Crossing it is a reminder of how fragile human perception can feel when confronted with such scale. And yet, the rewards are striking. Panoramic views of the Seto inland sea, distant islands, and the horizon stretching endlessly into the sky make the journey unforgettable. Every glance out the side window offers beauty that contrasts sharply with the constant requirement for focus, creating a quiet tension between awe and caution. Some roads aren't just paths across land. They're experiments in engineering, blending water, steel, and motion in ways that challenge perception itself. The Veluwemeer Aqueduct in the Netherlands is a remarkable example. A bridge that carries vehicles over water while boats pass underneath, creating a seamless interface between two forms of traffic. At first glance, the challenge may not seem immediate. The roadway is modern, wide, and meticulously engineered. But crossing an aqueduct introduces its own subtle tension. Water flows beneath your wheels, and reflections from the surface can play tricks on depth perception. For drivers and used to elevated waterways, even a slight lapse in attention can trigger a moment of unease. The structure itself is a marvel of precision. Spanning several hundred meters, the aqueduct's deck floats above the water with support entirely below the roadway. While designed for safety and stability, exposure is constant. The water's movement and occasional winds create the sense of being suspended over a living, shifting surface. Every lane change or maneuver feels amplified against the backdrop of water and sky. Traffic management adds another layer of subtle stress. Boats pass below at varying speeds, occasionally drawing attention away from the road. Cyclists and pedestrians may share parallel paths, requiring drivers to balance speed with situational awareness. In a place where the environment demands constant vigilance, even brief distraction is risky. Yet the rewards are immediate. The aqueduct offers sweeping views of the surrounding Value region, with forests, lakes, and fields stretching to the horizon. The juxtaposition of calm water beneath and high-speed travel above creates a surreal, almost cinematic experience, a reminder of how human ingenuity can coexist with natural beauty. The Value Aqueduct isn't about survival in the conventional sense. It's about attention, respect, and understanding how engineered spaces interact with nature. Crossing it successfully requires focus and calm, proving that even the most serene-seeming routes can test your awareness in unexpected ways. Some roads don't just challenge drivers. They test every sense, every instinct, and every ounce of courage. The Karakoram Highway in Pakistan is one of the most extreme examples. A lifeline carved into mountains that soar above 4,500 meters, threading through the jagged peaks of the Karakoram, Hindu Kush, and Himalayas. From the start, exposure dominates the experience. On one side, sheer cliffs rise impossibly high. On the other, deep gorges drop hundreds of meters, often without guardrails to soften the consequences of a mistake. Every curve, every hairpin, feels amplified by the altitude and the raw scale of the terrain. One split-second lapse, one misjudged corner, and a margin for error is zero. The road surface itself is unpredictable. Sections range from paved asphalt to gravel, dirt, and rock-strewn paths. Landslides, rock falls, and flash floods can occur suddenly, blocking lanes or forcing abrupt maneuvers. Rain or melting snow can turn a solid stretch into a slick, treacherous slide. Driving here demands constant vigilance and perfect coordination between speed, steering, and awareness. Traffic adds another layer of intensity. Trucks overloaded with supplies, buses filled with locals, and occasional tourists navigate narrow lanes in both directions. Passing requires courage, calculation, and sometimes negotiation, a tense test of nerves on a road that leaves no room for hesitation. Altitude creates its own hazards. Thin air affects both engine performance and human endurance. Even experienced drivers can experience shortness of breath, fatigue, or dizziness, all while steering along ledges that leave little room for error. Survival here is as much about physical awareness as mechanical skill. And yet, the reward is spectacular. Towering peaks, glacial rivers, and valleys that seem endless unfold at every turn. The highway passes through landscapes so dramatic they make fear and awe inseparable companions. Here, every kilometer is both a test and a reward. The Karakoram Highway isn't just a road, it's a proving ground. It challenges you to respect nature, trust your skills, and remain hyper-aware from start to finish. On this path through the roof of the world, courage alone is not enough. Survival demands focus, precision, and humility.